Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. We're looking here at Sabrina the Teenage Witch, whom I penciled in an earlier video, and I inked her in my last video, in a separate video. And if you missed those, you can see them in my videos, and I'll be linking to them in the description below. So if you haven't already, be sure to check those out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add colors to Sabrina. So I've got my handy Copics, and I'm going to start with the skin tone. I've talked about this before, and I like to add the skin tones first because I don't want these skin tones to become corrupted with any other colors. I don't want to accidentally bring a blue or a black into her. So I'm going in, I'm using an E11 Copic marker here. And what I'm doing is I'm filling in the darkest tones of her skin. Okay, anywhere that might be a dark or might be a shadow, underneath her eyebrows, for example. The side of her face, underneath her chin, her collarbone, a little bit of the side of her wrist, down each finger. And then I'm going to go in and around her legs. Just go in, and I will leave it like that with that color. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go to my E02, which is a, what do they call it? They call it fruit pink. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull out the colors which I just laid down. I'm going to pull them out and bring them out a little bit more. And as I've often said, I want to be sure and leave a highlight. I don't want to totally fill in every shape. And Sabrina, I always saw her as being fairly fair-skinned. So I want to keep her skin tones fairly light. So I'm going to switch over now to my, what Copic calls skin white, my E00, which is the lightest skin tone that they have. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to blend the colors I laid down. Again, leaving that white, leaving that nice white highlight. And it'll keep Sabrina looking nice and natural. I don't want her too orangey or too tan. It's nice to have something a little ghostly about Sabrina. Trying to keep the kind of the cylindrical volume to her thighs. I want to, keep the roundness to it, which is why I want to make sure that I'm leaving that highlight, because that highlight represents the highest point. And hopefully this color, which is pretty light, hopefully it's coming through in the video and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now I've gotten fairly light. What I want to do now is maybe cook Sabrina a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the actual flesh tone, which is R02. This is the Copic flesh tone. Ironically, I use the flesh tone, their pure flesh tone, the least because it's a little too warm for me for a basic flesh tone, and I don't want to just fill everything in very flatly. So what I do is I just use it for a few little accents, like in her dimples, on her chin, on her cheeks, just to heat up her cheeks a little bit, maybe her collarbone, and her shoulders a little bit of a highlight there. Maybe down here on her calf, warm up her thigh a little bit. And this will give you a nice contrast to that highlight that you're hopefully leaving. Okay, so that just about covers her skin tone. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to her hair, and Sabrina has fairly light hair. She's always been depicted as a very light blonde with almost white hair, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to add a few. I'm using the Y11 pale yellow Copic marker, and I'm just adding a few little highlights here and there, a few little touches, just to give the hair a little bit of volume so it's not just a flat hair. Now I want to go to her buckle, and I'm adding a little, this is pale sepia, which is kind of a sort of an orangey yellow, more of a yellow ochre than anything else. And then I want to go to my yellow, and I want to finish that buckle. And I'm going to go to my royal blue. And what I'm going to do with the royal blue is I'm going to fill in the highlights on Sabrina's dress so that her dress can be kind of a really, really dark blue with these bluish highlights. And here you don't have to be too careful because you have all that black to kind of hide many sins. Okay, there's a little spot of flesh that I've forgotten over here. See, a little bit of her arm is peeking out and that underside of her thigh. And I want to go down to Sabrina's boots in here too. Have the boots match her dress. This is the easy part because there isn't a whole lot of blending here. But those boot flaps of hers, I'm going to keep those blue. But what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of this royal blue that I'm using, just a little bit. And then I'm going to put the royal blue aside. And I'm going to go with maybe my cobalt blue. And I'm going to pull out some of that royal blue. Mix it in. And then maybe go with ice blue, which is kind of a lighter blue. And mix that in to be the lightest point of the boots. Okay. I'm going to go in and do Sabrina's belt. So what I'm doing is I'm getting my violet, and I'm going to do a little bit of the violet there, maybe a little bit inside there. And then I want to switch over to my soft violet. And the soft violet will pick up my violet. Sometimes you have to rub it in, and here. And I'll leave a little highlight there too. And I could keep working this until it gradates a little bit more. I'll just leave it alone. Okay. Now she has her broom. So what I want to do is take the pale sepia again, and I'm going to just render some of that straw at the end of her broom, like that. Maybe take a little bit of yellow just to add a second layer to it. Like that. Now I have her broomstick, and I don't want to just go flat brown with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sepia, which is kind of a brown. I'm going to go up the broom, and I notice I'm doing these rough kind of strokes because I want the broom to feel a little rough, like it's wood, which can't be a comfortable ride for her. And I'm using a light suntan, which is a lighter brown, and that'll be my lighter tone. And I'm not digging the contrast here, so I want to push that dark tone a little bit more. I'm going to pull out some leather. Really push that. Push that. And I've forgotten Sabrina's eyes. Now I believe Sabrina has light eyes, so I'm just going to give her blue eyes. If I'm wrong about her eyes, well, it's magic. She's magically turned her eyes blue. And then just this spot here. And I believe we have Sabrina. Okay, so there is Sabrina, the teenage witch. Could also, another thing I could do, since we have a couple of minutes, is I'm going to switch and I'm going to move over to Purple Sage, one of my chart pack markers. I talked about chart pack in the past, and what they're good for, I've said a lot of people don't like them because they tend to bleed, which is exactly why I do like them. So oftentimes what I'll do is I'll use chart pack just to lay down nice background color. Just something, and I'm going to be very careful. You want to come just almost up to the figure, but not quite, because just in case there is a little bit of bleeding. So, see, I'm going to work my way around her. And you don't have to be super neat about this. I always like a little bit of a rough look to these background colors that I lay down. Work around her knees. I don't want to totally frame her either. I want to keep it looking nice and natural. Coming up to her head. Again, being very careful because I don't want this to coming around. I don't want it to bleed into her. And then I want to come down here. And here where there's some black, gives us a little bit of a buffer. A little bit around the bottom here. Okay, so we have this nice framing wash of purple sage. Again, let me just loosen that up, and that becomes Sabrina. So I might just touch up a couple little things here and there, but otherwise this one is just about done. Thanks for tuning in. If anybody has any questions at all on anything that I did here, please let me know in the comments below. If you like the video, please subscribe, click like, hit that bell for future notifications, and share. Share the video with anyone you think would be interested, and just, help spread the word on the channel. That way I'll keep on making these. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you at the next one.